Sometimes I guess there just aren't enough rocks.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
You mean to wish me a good morning? What do you mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not?
Please go away. Let me speak for the love of God.
And I wonder if listeners can guess what Oscar-winning movie that song is from.
I wonder. I certainly can't.
No? I haven't prepped you for it.
No. you just told me the name off air, and I was like, oh, that's nice. But is it from Forrest Gump?
It is from Forrest Gump, For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield. I like coming in with a good song. You know,
I like coming in a good song.
we,
Hang on, wait.
we still sound very
Two a good song.
we still sound very weird and echoey and distant, even though we are right here together.
Yes, I like the reverberation. I think it makes my voice sound even better.
Well, next week won't be the case because we haven't tested the new studio environment
be,
yet.
yeah.
It might be worse. Wait and see.
I believe you said that you're not setting up your collection in the recording studio.
Yes, wow.
So unless you plan to jump on Facebook Marketplace and buy yourself some soundproof pads that you place on the wall to deafen the vibration, it could be
Mate.
sounding exactly the same.
Might be like just the demise of the podcast entirely.
It's unlistenable.
That's right.
I mean, it was always unlistenable. It was always a hard listen, but now it's unlistenable.
Well, this is what they get. So, happy week, everybody. Welcome to Good Movie Monday, the weekly podcast dedicated to nerdy cinematic ramblings. I'm Glenn Cochran, and the handsome baritone from afar over there is Ben Helwig. Good day to you, sir.
Good day to you, sir.
A warm welcome to all of our newcomers who are listening for the first time. You can find Good Movie Monday on all the podcast platforms. Newsly would be our recommended platform there, Ben.
Yes, I always listen to this podcast on Newsly.
It's a free app that you can have in the palm of your hand, and you can get a free bonus month worth of premium if you use the code MNDAY, Monday without the O. So there lies the plug. That's all I need to do. So coming up, we're going to be shooting the shit and talking about movies because that's what we do on this podcast. But it is Oscars week, and therefore we are going to turn our attention a little bit later on to the Oscars.
That's why you're wearing the tuxedo.
That is right. And that's why your face is so red from the slap.
From the slap, yeah.
That's right. It's going to be an interesting one. We're back in, the Oscars for the last few years have been just like a nomination list of 20 titles or something. It's ridiculous.
But the actual ceremonies have been pretty lackluster because of the whole COVID thing and
Well, just in general.
but in general, I remember when I was a younger man and Billy Crystal was the host of the Oscars, and it was such a good show. And I used to get furious at Channel 9 for congratulating the winners during the day.
I know.
Ahead of the actual.
Well, thank God
ceremony.
for streaming platforms now because we can watch them
You can
live.
watch it live,
you
yeah.
know. I mean, Americans that listen to this have no idea the troubles that we have.
Yeah.
Nobody
Channel 9,
knows. So we do have other stuff to talk about on the show, though. So keep listening. Jarrett Gunn is coming up in a few minutes to tell us all about physical media, and we'll be talking to him directly. And then a bit later on, the guys from the American podcast Bonehead Weekly will be imparting their Kentucky-branded drivel upon us. Before we go any further, though, Ben,
soaked in dribble.
one thing I wanted to talk about before we do move on is the fact that because we are shifting locations with the podcast, we're not doing as many videos at the moment. And normally we do reaction videos. We went and saw Creed 3 last week. It did open in cinemas last week, but we never got a chance to put our opinions out there. So I'm wondering, I haven't even spoken to you about this yet. What did you think of Creed 3?
I thought it was a bit high on the melodrama.
Yes, I agree. But don't you reckon that kind of is in line with, say, your Rocky 3? Like it's taking the same trajectory as the Rocky franchise?
Yeah, but Rocky 3 had Ivan Drago in it.
No, that's number 4.
Is that
Mr.
four?
T was
It
in number
Mr.
3.
T number
yeah,
3.
Yeah, and I reckon that was really sappy on the melodrama. However, you know what?
Was it?
We're going to talk about Creed 3 here, but I did watch that Rocky versus Drago director's cut of Part 4 of Rocky 4. What an improvement. I mean, I always enjoyed the film anyway. It's still full of montages, but they've taken stupid shit out, they've rearranged it a bit, and it just makes more sense.
Yeah, but if there's not a montage of montages, then I'm not interested. which is the
Well,
best.
they
thing
even do a
about
montage in the final fight.
it.
A montage of the fight we just
Yeah.
had.
Oh, the fight, yeah.
But Creed 3, look, my opinion is that like I really enjoy this franchise. Like it's essentially Rocky 9, I think now.
Look, my problem with the franchise,
Mm.
the thing that's like, is that he's a rich kid.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he spent a bit of time in a group home,
Mm-hmm.
which they really belabor, and he's got PTSD because of it. Get over it.
Yeah.
Get over it, Creed.
Yeah.
You grew up in a Bel Air mansion. Even the start of the film, you're being snuck out of your Bel Air mansion. It's like, how hard did you struggle?
Well, I mean, I guess in the first Creed film, he was rags to riches, a bit like Rocky.
But he's not rags. It's just because he's actually like said, I don't want any of your money.
Yeah.
But
He could have it.
it's it's like the Pulp song. You can just call you could just call his mum and stop it all.
No, that's true. That is true.
So he like and that's fine. But I felt like because of that,
Mm-hmm.
the melodrama feels inadequate.
I agree with you on the melodrama.
Like it's
Yep.
just and the fights, the cinematography is great during
Mm-hmm.
the fight scenes.
Yep.
Really good, like almost to a point of view boxing game that you used to play when you were
Yeah.
a kid, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like the way they move and duck around the punches and stuff. It's great, but even the final fight didn't really feel that. The stakes didn't seem that high.
No, the issue I had with the final fight was pretty much the fantasy sequence. So there's a moment there where the crowd drifts away. Suddenly it's two guys in a ring, no one else around, and it turns into a fucking jail cell. And it's like that to me is just rookie mistake. It's who directed? What's his name? The actor
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan directed
Creed
it.
directed it.
And he's pulled a Stallone. He's directing his
Yeah.
own sequel. But I feel like that's the fault of a newcomer kind of being too ambitious. Like, I've got a great idea. Imagine if the audience drifted away. And it's like, well, does the audience want to see that?
It's just these two old friends.
But
beating the shit out
what
of
I'll give it though, I think that Jonathan Majors is one of the best villains or rivals or foes that the series has ever had.
And look, I'm no expert on the American judicial system.
Yeah.
But it does seem, and maybe there is a 3 strikes you're out kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But considering what crime he committed,
Yep.
18 years seems a bit excessive. And they don't talk about, did he do something in prison to get it extended or...
I'm surprised they didn't bring the race card into that just to discuss, like incarceration rates and things like that, which was
But
interesting.
yeah, they stayed away from a lot of that.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing, that which is...
But you've got Ryan Coogler as a producer who directed the first one, and I think if anyone's going to tell that kind of story, they would have. But
Yeah.
Interesting.
But then sometimes those producer credits, when you're in a franchise, it's like an honorary thing. Like
Yeah, I know.
It's in your contract
I
from the
know.
first one.
I do think he had a little bit of involvement behind the scenes. But regardless, look, I like Jonathan Majors. He saved it for me. I just think he's a really good foe for Creed.
Yeah. I almost wish the movie was... that's actually the downside.
Mm.
It would have been a better film had Creed stepped aside because he's retired.
Yeah.
And he legitimately... Why couldn't he just legitimately help his friend?
Interesting.
And his friend is the Rocky character.
I agree.
Who...
Because Michael B. Jordan has said recently in the press junkets that he has plans for the Creed series moving forward, and it may be spin-off related as opposed to Creed. Maybe it's
But
just
they
the
just
fact...
he just had to get... No, but... Yeah, just to answer all the critics, if Creed did fight this guy, Creed would win.
I think it's more like...
I'm surprised they didn't bring Rocky back and get him to fight Rocky.
Oh,
to show that Creed beats Rocky.
There was a little bit of fallout between Stallone and the producers, I believe. But
Yeah. Oh, of course.
but also, I'm glad Rocky wasn't in it because this allowed Creed to step out of the shadows and be his own thing. But anyway, we've probably spent as much time on that as we would have a video.
Yeah.
We probably got more out of that discussion than we would have on a video because let's face it, we're not very good at videos.
I hate them.
I know you do.
I hate the videos.
Whoa, man, you just ran through a big pile of dog shit!
It happens.
Well, Ben, it's that time of show where we throw to Jared, and he's right here. How are you, mate?
Very good, gentlemen. Yourselves?
Yes, I'm doing good. I'm really keen to know what's coming out this week on Home Entertainment.
Well, it won't take me long to tell you because guess what? There's nothing coming out on Home Entertainment this week. Absolutely zilch.
I thought it was really odd that you hadn't sent that brief.
Ah, yes, of course, of what's coming out.
Of what's
It
coming out.
almost
That explains it.
feels like the release schedules are becoming more fortnightly as things go on. I know that, like Mad Men, I think they do a a drop twice a month. So they'll do like the first week of the month and then the third week of the month or something of that nature. And maybe that's what's kind of happening even with the majors now too. But I'm not going to leave you in the lurch. I actually thought I'd come prepared with some info, and that info pertains to the recent release of that Rocky 4K collection, the Knockout collection. Just came out in stores in the first week of March. And unfortunately, there's issues with the release globally, unfortunately. Some pretty major issues too, and issues that affect every single one of the films. Well, maybe only one cut of Rocky 4. But anyway.
I was going to say, is it because Sylvester Stallone is in all of them? Is that the issue?
Is that the issue? No, well, seemingly he wouldn't have a problem with that. I think it's just when they decide to do things behind his back, he cracks the sads and says, "Where's my cashola?" But no, there's audio issues on number 1. Apparently, the mono mix on that is just a fold down of the 5.1 track. So it's really been advertised incorrectly. You know, if you're a huge audiophile and want to experience the film as it was seen theatrically and probably on previous DVD releases and Blu-ray releases, then Rocky 2 has all of the foreign language audio tracks at the wrong pitch. Doesn't really bother me. I'll probably not likely listen to an international dub of it, but I understand that is an issue.
There's only one way you can say.
Precisely, but I do want to see. I want to hear that in another language with a slightly different accent and then subtitled back into English to see what it comes back as.
It's super entertaining. It's like, you know, when you go on Netflix and you watch a show and they've automatically set it to the English dub and you're like, is it the same 5 people in Europe recording all of these?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is the go-to people. Well, actually, I do make an error. It was Rocky 2. Rocky 2 has issues with the pitch on all the audio tracks. So it's not just the foreign, it's the English. But the third one has the issue with pitch on all the foreign language tracks.
Can I jump in for 1 second to tell you a funny story, right? Talking about like dub and things like that, how Netflix automatically, you know, have it set to English. I was at an event recently with a whole bunch of movie critics and industry people, and I overheard a conversation of about the Oscars and how outraged 2 of them were, these people, that All Quiet on the Western Front was nominated for an Oscar when it's a dubbed film.
So my God.
They clearly had it set to the wrong setting and didn't pick up on it. And I'm like, wow, that's incredible. You guys are supposed to know.
My only argument for that being nominated for Best Picture is it almost shouldn't be nominated for Best International Feature. I feel that you can't get 2 bites of the cherry, to be honest. You know, I think that's just, you know, it's a bit too much. But I mean, we do it at Monster Fest, obviously. When we do the awards, we've got the Golden Monster, which could be a film from anywhere. And then we also have, you know, Best Australian Films. So, you know,
and I are going to get stuck into that a bit later on.
Oh, well, there you go. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on that one. But also, so there's an issue with Rocky 4 as well. Rocky 4 has one of the shots in the film is incorrectly framed. So you're watching the film like in, you know, 185:1, and then it opens up to 178:1 for a shot. So, I mean, it's probably a blink and miss it thing. But these studios, do they actually have QC? Like, I mean, I know the boutique labels, this is a common occurrence with Arrow, with Scream Factory, and, you know, people take them to task, you know, about it. But this is a major studio and a global release. So it's not just on Roadshow's part, although maybe they should have been checking the discs. You know, this isn't the first time it's happened.
I watched the Rocky vs. Drago cut on that collection a few days ago, and I must admit, like, I was also in my computer at the same time, so maybe I did blink and miss it.
You could have missed it, but it might not be in that cut. It could actually just be in the theatrical of Rocky 4. I'm not 100% certain as to which one, but no news as to whether there'll be any kind of exchange. I mean, we live in Australia, so there's probably never going to be a replacement thing. They'll do it in the States, and of course the US won't honor Australian purchases. So anyway, I just wanted to bring you guys up to speed on one of the failures of one of the most anticipated releases of the year. We can only look forward to what Superman.
It makes for good conversation. Yeah,
I do feel like if the internet didn't exist, no one would know about 90% of these problems. Like,
it's true.
There'd be one angry nerd in the basement.
If Jarrett didn't exist, nobody would know.
This is true. This is true. I would definitely. I mean, I remember seeing things on disc and, you know, and not realizing that people were talking about them on the internet and going, fucking hell, what's wrong with this? But I mean, we had our fair share of problems at the old Monster Pictures back in the day. Stag Night of the Living Dead. That was one of my favorites. I think that stopped about 3/4 through and looped back to the start of the movie. And I tried it in multiple players. I never did get to see the final act of that film. And
Oh,
he's
yeah, I
been
didn't
looking
even
as
know- I
if
didn't
they
even
never
know
even
about that
picked
one.
up on it.
No,
Maybe
I
I was
didn't
the
know about
only
that one.
person that purchased it, or at least the only
That
person
watched
that
it.
purchased it and watched it. Yes. Yes, exactly. But I will tell you some titles that are coming out. Of course, The Whale is huge talk at the moment. It's doing thunderous trade. Obviously, it's
No
nominated
pun
for the
intended.
Yeah,
Oscars.
that's right.
Yeah. It's coming to home entertainment, and thankfully, it's coming out on Blu-ray and DVD. Madman are seeing fit to do a Blu-ray release of this one, and there's even an exclusive artwork to JB Hi-Fi of the release as well, which is actually pretty cool art. That one's coming out April 19th. And then Madman also have Pearl coming out on home entertainment on May 24th. And they're doing that on DVD and Blu-ray. And there's going to be a JB exclusive cover as well for that release. Now, I'm excited that JB is going to get some exclusive art, but can JB talk to Roadshow and get them to release X on Blu-ray?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point of
Yeah.
having the second film, the prequel to the film on Blu-ray and the first one on DVD? It's mixed up business. But Viavision, this is an interesting one. Viavision are finally going to release, they sort of hinted at it a little while ago, Reservoir Dogs on 4K Ultra HD, and it's coming out May 31st. But don't get too excited, folks, because at this stage, I believe it's only the 4K Ultra HD and Blu-ray. So it's just a 2-disc set, but it's going to be housed in a hard box with a lenticular cover and that. And they want you to pay $89.95 recommended retail for that. But you could just go on the internet and for $35, you can get the US release with a slip cover. It's not lenticular, it's not hard, but it does come just with the 4K and all the same special features that are on the 4K or on the Blu-ray, unless they're authoring a new Blu-ray over here or they've got extra discs. I don't know, $90 sounds like... It sounds like a trap. It sounds like that Saw Ultimate Collection or that Dirty Dancing Keepsake Collection, or whatever they want to call it, or that War of the Worlds imprint release. I don't know. They've got to reassess the business model there. I think just do a standard version.
Well,
for
there's a whole new
$40.
generation of teenagers now that have something to get suspended from school over, because I got suspended for
Well,
bootlegging Reservoir Dogs on VHS.
Precisely. Exactly. They could be burning copies on disc or just digitally distributing it. But one last release that I do want to mention. Obviously, you lads love this film theatrically. I quite enjoyed it. Cocaine Bear. It's coming out May 24th from Universal Sony Pictures Home Entertainment. It's coming out on Blu-ray and DVD. And while I don't have any special features to tell you at this stage, it apparently is going to be a special edition. So I don't think it'll be an alternate cut of the film because I think it's as grisly as it gets, pun definitely intended, on the big screen. But there's probably going to be a commentary and some deleted scenes and featurettes. Or let's face it, there's probably going to be 3 marketing featurettes and they're just giving it a fancy edition title.
No, I mean, to be honest with you, the only thing I think that could possibly ruin that film is to listen to Elizabeth Banks talking over it.
Yeah, that's true too. That's very true.
I mean, maybe that's just me, because it took a bit to forget that she had directed it.
I know.
I will say as well, I'm not sure if it's going to be next week or the week after, but the box of Bert,
an announcement. Oh yes, no, it is coming.
Web
it is
store,
coming.
It's coming out like the Hammer Triple Shock box set. They're releasing them seemingly a month prior, exclusive to the Umbrella web store, and then the following month it comes out trade wide. So I think Box of Bert is out later this month through the if you purchased it on the Umbrella web store, but you have to wait. You have to wait if you want to get that sweet JB Hi-Fi 20% off sale version for another month.
I believe they might actually be dropping it in stores roughly around the same time. Funnily enough, I think I saw I think it might be next week. It might be coming out. JB's at least got it listed on their site as to whether or not. So there's a very good chance you could probably go into JB and grab it faster than you'll get This Is Art, the Terrifier box set from Umbrella.
Like I say, it's amazing. It's amazing the information that you get from Umbrella Direct versus the information you get from JB Hi-Fi when they're conflicting, and you're like, I think I trust JB Hi-Fi a bit more than I trust the...
I would like to say that, but I did go into JB Hi-Fi with the intention of buying Death at Brunswick with that beautiful slipcover, but it turns out that was definitely exclusive to the Umbrella web store. And the trade-wide release was sans slip, but they've since updated the image.
Was it the Brunswick JB?
Yeah, totally.
Maybe it was exclusive to them.
First press. Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
Anyway, gents, that's it. That's it for me for this week. I will bring news of releases next week, including the box of Bert. So Ben will be very pleased. And it's probably the best release of the week. So I'll go to town. I'm telling you all about it. But yeah, it'll be sans all that awesome stuff that Umbrella had in that deluxe set. It had like a bumper bar sticker and a air freshener and a faux mustache and some Sally Field nudes and some, I don't know what else was in that set.
And the private collection of Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, absolutely.
All his
From the
leading
family
ladies.
estate.
All his leading ladies in the bus.
I don't need to see Lonnie Anderson naked.
No, back in the,
Or maybe before all that surgery, yeah, maybe.
in the Stroker Ace days.
Yeah.
That was something to see. She was the Pamela Anderson before there was Pamela Anderson.
We
There
must
you go.
It
we
just
must
didn't
press
last-
on.
It just didn't. last.
Yes.
Thank you, mate.
With
We're
absolute
gonna-
pleasure.
carry on with something now that we haven't done on the show before, so that'll be interesting.
Well, raccoon's trying to get on our back porch. Mom just chasing him off with a broom.
Let's do something new but not new that we haven't done on the show before, but we do all the time on our social media posts. Essentially, Lucky Dip, but we're going to do like a wheelie spin, and it's going to come up with topics, and we just talk about them unscripted, and it might last 10 seconds, it might last 10 minutes.
I'm on the record for not liking this.
But you were the one that kind of have been implying that the less prep involved, the better. So this
I've been implying that I don't do any prep. Not that I don't want the.
I am. Look, I juggle a few things, and I'm trying to make it easier on myself by not having any kind of plan here. So I actually just have some topics on a spinny wheel, and we're gonna spin it and see what it comes up with. Hopefully, you can hear the spinny wheel. It's going to be awkward if you can't. Here we go.
That's what post is for. Sounds like I'm jaywalking.
It does. All right, what came up? Comparable. Yeah, we got a round of applause there. Comparable movies to Lord of the Rings. So this is up your alley. This is fantasy movies. What would you say is the most comparable movie to Lord of the Rings? I personally would probably
The original Dungeons and Dragons movie? No.
Well, I mean, I would feel naturally you'd kind of have to say Narnia, like the Narnia stories, simply because of the two authors piggybacking off each other in real life with ideas. Maybe Neverending Story.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like, books wise, I can think of things, but movie wise, this is why I wanted the. Just tell me beforehand, and I can look things up on the internet, because as I'm getting older, the dementia is setting in. Type 4 diabetes or type 3 diabetes. My memory ain't what it used to be. So I can't think of things on the fly.
So,
the
okay, let me help you.
Series.
Let me help you.
The Deathstalker series are the most comparable to the Lord of the Rings.
Okay, I don't know that, but let me help you. Like, cast your mind back. You're working in the video store behind the counter. Some dickhead walks in. What have you got that's like Lord of the Rings? What would you say?
I'd look on the shelf and go, Deathstalker 2 is the one you want. This is the best. You don't need to watch Deathstalker 1. Or 3 and 4. Just watch it.
Okay. Let's
Deathstalker 2.
pretend a 9-year-old comes in.
There's barbarians.
Yeah.
You've seen Barbarians with the Barbarian Brothers? The only movie where a guy sold into slavery gets stronger and more buff from being starved and worked to death. Conan, the Conans.
The Conans, of course.
The Conans. I mean, I'm just naming fantasy movies.
What do you think? I mean,
like epic fantasy?
Because, I mean, Conan is not... That's not really Lord of the Ringsy, is it? Because I don't remember any muscle men in Lord of the Rings.
No, but there's no there's giant monsters and stuff.
I'm going to
elves.
stick with the Chronicles of Narnia. Like, did you like those Disney versions?
I find that Chronicles of Narnia is more like, once again, I'm going to books, but they, they're the ones with the kind of more animal. The anthropomorphizing of animals.
Yeah.
Which is not really present in Lord of the Rings. Like, it's a kind of more of a straight.
I guess I'm coming at it
fantasy?
from more of a
like
world building kind of point of view.
Had it worked and been a decent show,
Yeah.
Wheel of Time, the
Right.
Wheel of Time show on
I
Prime.
vaguely
would've-
remember that.
Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones
Yep.
for me kind of fits in.
Yep.
I know we're not supposed to
No.
talk about TV, but for me that would be what I would recommend. If somebody came into the video store
Yep.
now and said, "What have you got that's like Lord of the Rings?" I would say, "Have you seen Game of Thrones?"
Yeah, rightio.
That's the one to check out.
Sure.
Because funnily enough, fantasy, I find that fantasy films are the ones that have been the hardest to break out of their low budget.
Yeah.
Like you forgive a lot in a low budget fantasy movie, like Deathstalker 2,
Yep.
and you're like, you okay, I get it, or Conan or whatever, or Gladiator, or which is
Hercules.
Hercules, Karl the Conqueror, all of that stuff. You're like, okay, even though they weren't particularly low budget, but
Yep.
You forgive a lot.
But I do love when they're diminished
know.
returns, they end up coming to Earth.
Yeah. Like Beastmaster would
Yeah.
actually be a pretty good, Beastmaster 2 back in time when he
I was
comes to
thinking
Earth.
of that and I couldn't remember the name, so I'm glad you said that.
They're pretty good actually. They're all the Don Coscarelli, the first one, and then is it Jim Wynorski, the second
It's
one?
interesting how your brain goes in one direction and mine goes in another when we're doing this, because like I am going straight to, like I said, Narnia, but also Neverending Story. I'm going more a kid-based sort of realm. I'm going the Hobbit direction. You're going in the Return of the King direction.
Yeah. Go the low budget,
yeah.
the low budget direction.
Well, we haven't said Sword and the Sorcerer yet.
No, I haven't, because I don't think I've actually seen the Sword and the Sorcerer.
Speaking of which, I stumbled across my poster for that the other day. I was
Very happy
about that. Yes. Okay. Well, cool. Well, there you go. That is the gist of this portion of the show. Random nonsense conversations that we can try to make cohesive.
I didn't ask, you shouldn't have told me. At first I'd laugh, but now it's sinking in fast. Whatever you sold me, well, baby, I don't wanna take advice from fools. I just figure everything is cool until I hear it from you. It gets hard, the memories faded. Who gets what they say? It's likely they're just jealous and jaded. Well, maybe I don't wanna take advice from fools. I just figure everything is cool until I hear it from you. Until I hear it from you. I can't let it get me up or break up my train of thought. As far as I know, nothing's wrong until I hear it from you. Still thinking about not living without it. Outside looking in, till we're talking about not stepping around it. Maybe I don't wanna take advice from fools. I'll just figure everything is cool until I hear it from you. Until I hear it from you. Until I hear it from you. Until I hear from you.
How do you rate Empire Records, Ben?
The film,
Yeah.
Oscar worthy.
Well, that was the Gin Blossoms from the original soundtrack. Till I Hear It From You. It's a good song.
It's a great song.
Thought I'd throw it in there.
There's, there's so many good songs in that soundtrack.
I mean, that movie is all about the soundtrack, right?
Really is.
When you work at a record store, you're going to want, it's like High Fidelity. What's High Fidelity without a good soundtrack?
Yeah, you'd just be shipbuilding otherwise.
We haven't had a good,
That was a high fidelity soundtrack joke. Shipbuilding is one of the songs in the soundtrack.
I was waiting for the Cosby
I
sweater.
could have done. Yeah, I should have said it would have been Cold Blooded Old Times, but it doesn't make as much sense.
It doesn't. Lost my train of thought. But what I was going to say is we haven't had this generation. I don't feel has had a movie like High Fidelity or Empire Records, something to celebrate their, I guess their Spotify lists.
Well, the last one, funnily enough, you say that the last one. From my memory, probably is Nick and Nora's Infinite playlist. But that's
how
10
long?
years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say that feels like it was a decade ago. There's a
Yeah.
whole new generation that have come up since
That'd
then.
be like 2008, something like
Yeah.
that. I want to say.
Interesting. I did see that one with Bill Pullman's son. Actually, was a bit playlisty. Anyway, whatever.
What was that one?
It was a rom-com where I don't want to give anything away because there's a character that dies and it's all about the playlist left behind and.
Oh, is that Bill Pullman's son? Are you talking about? No, you're not talking about Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl.
No.
I don't.
all right.
I thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
I best not
considering
talk
it's
about
such
it
a
in case
downer.
I get the synopsis entirely wrong because I haven't really thought about it since I watched it. But let's talk about Oscar movies. It's the Oscars this week. So, in fact, I think the Oscars is tomorrow. I haven't really been paying that much attention to it this year, I'll be honest with you. Nor have I spent much attention on it for the last few years, even though we did an Oscars show last year, so go figure. But let's go through the Oscars for this year and just talk about it.
Sure.
Just go through the major awards, I reckon. Do you want to start with actress, actors, or best film? Which direction do you want to go?
Well, only because I've just brought it up in my phone. Let's do Best Picture first.
All right, cool. So I'm going to run through those titles and we can stop and talk about some or all. All Quiet on the Western Front, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, Avatar, The Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin, can never pronounce that right, Elvis, The Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking. No wonder it's a long fucking ceremony. It's just getting those names out.
The reason that they turned it from 5 to 10 films is because not attendance, viewership on the TV show on the televised
broadcast
ceremony was dropping off because it's always a bunch of art house, adult drama type films, and none of the blockbusters that everyone actually goes to see. Gets nominated. So that's what they tried to add it in.
Let me say this about that. So just for work purposes and my day job, I had to do a thing on the Oscars. So I backtracked all the winning films right back from the start and sort of did a countdown. They used to have nominations like this where there were,
most
10
successful.
Where there were 10 nominations, then they whittled it down to 5 and it's like we're back at where it was. But I feel like as far as best film goes, it all came undone. I think it was with The English Patient. I think that is where, after The English Patient, it all started becoming a bit like, I don't feel like every film is worthy of an Oscar nomination these days.
Yeah.
And I feel like that, when I'm looking at all the different years that have gone since, that's where it came undone. Suddenly we didn't care about the quality movies.
Well, it is an interesting argument, isn't it? Is box office and quality linked? I don't.
Well, should they? No, I don't think so. But how do you decide what's worthy?
And look, Top Gun Maverick is the perfect example of
this. It's a great one
in this because we loved it. We went to see it, thought it was great. Do I think it's an Oscar film?
Yeah, it's not.
Not really.
I automatically look at Avatar and Top Gun and think, what are they doing in there, right? Yeah. However, Top Gun was my number one film of last year. But I look at Top Gun and think, well, technically speaking, it's probably one of the most remarkable of all these. Like just what they did to create the movie.
The torturing of the actors.
The torturing of the actors, like just being practical and technically, incredible. But, would I put it on the same plane as something like even Everything All at Once is an odd one in there because it's very, very heavily genre based,
But it's just weird enough for me to get that outside nomination, and it's got a lot of other the
it's complex.
What's his name? Ki Hong Koo.
Yeah.
Short Round.
Yes.
The comeback of Short Round.
Yep.
And you know, the fact that it's a, you know, almost entirely, like not almost entirely, but it's just, you know, led by an Asian cast.
Yep.
Like a Crazy Rich Asians type.
Yeah, well, it's like
type thing.
it's very much an Asian film. Like it's cut from the cloth of the 90s cinema you and I used to love. You know, go to Chinatown and watch these
And
weird
watch
movies.
those kind of movies. Yeah. You know, 100%.
Yep.
And, you know, so look, that one doesn't bother me. Banshee's fine. I mean, yeah, but Elvis, look at me. I didn't like Elvis. So
No, well, look, I enjoyed Elvis, but I think that's the least deserving on this list. I'll be honest with you. I think as much as I love Spielberg, I think The Fabelmans doesn't cut the mustard as far as best film goes. It's a film I think will grow on me the more I watch it. Tar, I thought was an absolute turd. Everyone seems to love it, but I fucking hated
Well,
it.
I was going to say, like, so out of this list, I haven't seen Tar, I haven't seen All Quiet on the Western Front, and I haven't seen Women Talking.
Yep.
And see, Triangle of Sadness, I think that's a fantastic film. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Oscar worthy.
And you know, and I guess with what's her name a couple of years ago with Parasite.
Yep.
Now the foreign language films are getting into the main category, which is I find that interesting because, you know, what is the Academy Awards? I guess the Academy are theoretically a global organization, so why are only
I feel like it
one?
should be restricted to American films, and then you have the international award category.
Yeah. But then they shouldn't. The Academy, I think they fall into this trap of because you can be Australian and be a member of the Academy.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you vote for an Australian film? But it's not truly a global organization. It's still predominantly American.
Yep.
So, you know, just stick to it. Otherwise, or go all out and just have. If you're a member of the AFI, then you're a member of the Academy. And each country.
Yep.
But then you get countries like China. So you're going to have a Chinese film winning every year because they've got the population, or India. It's going to be between.
But this is where maybe the Academy needs to really consider if they diversify or if they sort of rein it back in and be much more insulated.
Yeah, and then I guess if Triangle of Sadness is okay, why isn't okay? Then Banshees of Inisherin shouldn't be okay either.
I know. I know.
You know.
So, which of those do you think will win? Which one do you want to win?
Oh, look, I would love it if Triangle of Sadness won.
Wow, cool.
But I think I don't know. I think look, I haven't seen it, but just by my kind of disregard for about 50% of the films on this list, I think maybe Women Talking might tip it at the post.
You reckon? I reckon everything everywhere all at once is going to take
It'll probably like
I reckon
it's got a lot of buzz.
And look, and to be honest,
everyone loves listening to Jamie Lee Curtis spout her nonsense.
except for me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't handle it.
No, I can't either. But you know what? Like, half of me really wants that to win because I think it is such a unique kind of film, but at the same time, I think it's overrated.
I'd be much happier if The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent was there in this place.
Yeah. But I think that will win, and I'd prefer it if maybe All Quiet on the Western Front won because I think that's quite a remarkable film.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen the original one either.
Yeah, well, there's several originals.
Original,
you know,
yeah.
The adaptations are many.
Well, you know, oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, I keep getting it mixed up with what's that other? There's that Russian war movie that's supposed to be incredibly gory and.
Oh, yes, I know the one you mean. It's with the cover's got the shaved head kid.
Yeah.
Come and See or something like that. Yeah, I know the one you mean.
Yeah.
And it's overrated as far as like the reputation it has. Like, you know, people
because it was one of those ones that a DVD collection that it's
banned or whatever.
It was banned. You had to get it on import,
and it's not all that. Like Schindler's List is worse. Like it's you know, not that harrowing as what maybe it was back then, but not anymore. They put it up on the same sort of the same pedestal as Salo and things like that. And it's not though. It's not.
Yeah, right.
But actually, I think the very first All Quiet on the Western Front won an Oscar back in the 1930s or 20s or whatever. All right, let's move on to...
It's no Paths of Glory, though. I will say, though, I am looking forward to the 2024 / Are these the 2022 Oscars?
Well, no, they're technically the 23 Oscars, but for films that were...
Okay.
So if you go back to like the Oscars webpage at all the past winners, the first 10 years, they did it 22 / 23. Like, they did acknowledge that.
Yeah, I guess Christmas gets in the way, but why not have the awards on the 12th of December?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I agree
know.
completely.
for that year.
Yep.
But in that case, I'm looking forward to the 2024 Academy Awards where Cocaine Bear will sweep
You know,
all categories.
and, speaking of them having lost their audience over the years, like maybe if they did move it towards Christmas, they would have a much bigger audience. A lot of
Yeah.
people on holidays, a lot of people at home, families around the TV, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, quite frankly, I just wish they'd bring back the Teen Choice Awards. Or the Nickelodeon
Nickelodeons, I
Awards.
want more slime.
Yeah.
That's what I want. We
That's
need.
what they should do. If the speech goes on too long, they
Yep.
get slimed.
Oh, but like, no, but it can be like, no, I won't say it. I was going to say the feasties of like,
Of- yeah.
you know, I don't know. We just get Will Smith
No,
on stage. He
no.
can get them off.
That's what I hope that the producers of this year's ceremony have just hired Brendan Gleeson to sit on the side of the stage, and if they go on
Shears.
too long, he cuts off a finger and throws it at them.
You can have a pinball because you can have Will Smith on one side with a slap, and if they go in that
Yeah.
direction, they get slapped off stage. Other direction, they get limbed off stage.
Yeah, they should. That's a perfect way to reintegrate Will Smith into the Academy. He's the official slapper. Your speech goes on too long. You have to put your hands behind your back, lean forward with a big cheesy grin on your face, and then Will Smith comes and slaps you.
You slapped me. You really slapped me.
Keep your producer's name out of your mouth.
Shall we speed through the others? You got Best Actor, Best Actress, Supporting Actor, Supporting Actress. So Best Actor, Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell for Banshees, Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Paul Mescal for After Sun, and Bill Nye for Living. I'm amazed that The Whale was not up for Best Picture, and yet you got fucking Tar up there.
Look, I haven't seen it. I have heard some people say it's actually not that good.
I loved it.
But,
I
yeah.
really loved it. But performance-wise, I think he'll take it, and I think he probably deserves it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I tell you what,
Yeah,
watching that
because
movie, I
when-
understood that fucking addiction to the food that he eats, and I'm thinking, rest of the people around me are looking at him in disgust, and I'm thinking, that's me on a Saturday night. Like,
Yeah, wouldn't mind one of those.
yeah, like he ordered
like
3 pizzas. I relate.
He's having a bang bang.
Yeah.
This is great.
There is a moment when he sits on the couch with a bucket of fried chicken and just harrows into it, and I'm like, yep, been there.
Yeah, who doesn't do that?
Yeah.
I guess that's why I am the way I am. But I mean, the thing I find so weird is that he put on all that fat makeup.
Mm.
You know, kind of in a couple of films recently, he's just had a little bit of extra weight, and you're like, isn't that enough?
No, to drive the message home for this film, they had to do it. They did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I guess he's up for the Oscar really because a former, one of the beautiful people from Hollywood made himself unattractive, and in the actors, guild, making you. He's gone, to bring it back to Thunder,
Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
He's gone full retard.
But you know what? I do think his performance transcends the prosthetics
He
and the makeup.
ugly cries.
He's really good just emotionally. He's really good. Anyway, who do you think will win? I think Brendan Fraser.
Yeah,
right.
sounds about right.
All right. Best actress got Kate Blanchett for Tar, Anna de Armas for Blonde, Andrea Riseborough for Leslie, Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans, and Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I'm hoping Michelle Yeoh wins.
Yep.
Almost more for a career rather than just that film. I find it amazing that she's been nominated, considering that she's so unlikable in the film.
Yeah, I know.
Which is, I guess, is great.
Look, I also think Michelle Williams was fucking annoying in Fabelmans, and
Yeah,
not a performance I would deem worthy of accolades.
you kind of. I mean, it's one of those things. It's really hard to divorce yourself from the amount of how you like the character versus the quality of the performance.
Yeah.
Like, if the Oscar for Best Actress was person who made themselves the most unlikable,
Yeah.
it really would be a struggle between Michelle Yeoh and
True.
Michelle Williams.
True. That's very true. And I have seen like footage of Spielberg's mum in the past, and she was a pretty annoying person.
right, yeah.
So maybe she did nail it. I don't know, but I think
I'm
Michelle will win it.
I'm just upset that they didn't get Cyndi Lauper to play it.
What about Best Supporting Actor? You got Brendan Gleeson for Banshees, Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway, Judd Hirsch for The Fabelmans, which is outrageous as far as I'm concerned. Barry Keoghan, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Is it
for
Keoghan?
Banshees, and Ki Hui Kwan from Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I mean, look, I would love it if Barry Keoghan won.
yeah, he was
I mean,
incredible.
He's great in that role, but he's great in everything.
Everything.
Except for And he's probably still the best thing in the fucking Eternals or whatever
Oh yeah, yeah.
that horseshit Marvel movie.
They've-
That was the straw that broke this camel's back.
They've all got to go through the paces. These actors, you know.
Well, who doesn't want that payday? I can't blame him for doing it.
Absolutely. But I mean, what the hell is Judd Hirsch doing in here? He's on screen for 5 minutes.
But admittedly, for me, he's the best thing about Fablemans. That and the John Ford story at the end.
Yeah. I mean, why isn't David Lynch in there?
Why isn't David Lynch?
You
in
know,
there? Yeah.
I don't think he. I mean, this is just my opinion. I don't think he spent enough screen time to warrant a Best Supporting Actor because he doesn't support the film. Like he doesn't
No,
support.
but he supports Steven Spielberg. I mean,
Yeah. Look, I think, I think Data from Goonies is gonna
I think he'll do it.
take it, which is fine by me. Like I like his comeback story. I think he's milking it a bit too hard on the on the old social media, but you know,
And then I think he'll disappear.
Feels very-
I
it feels-
was like, what else? What other jobs is this guy going to get?
I don't know. Maybe it's just my cynical nature, but he feels very disingenuous to me when he's same with Jamie Lee Curtis. They just don't seem like legit when they're heaping on fucking love and affection for everything and everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Best Supporting Actress: Angela Bassett for Wakanda Forever, Hung Chu for The Whale, Kerry Condon for Banshees, Jamie Lee Curtis Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Stephanie Hsu for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I kind of want this one to be Hong Chow for The Whale. I think she was an amazing support actress in that.
I haven't seen it.
I know.
I quite liked the actress from Banshees,
Oh yeah, she was Kerry Condon.
Kerry Condon. I thought she's pretty good.
She was. She's got some really good show-stealing moments in that.
Yeah, and for me, she's like a Maureen O'Sullivan.
Yeah. Yes. I would give up
I
the
think
Oscars forever if Angela Bassett wins this one. Like really, yeah. Not that I find her an annoying actress, but I'm finding that anything I feel like
Maureen O'Hara.
Yep.
Is the one I meant.
I feel like anything that's Wakanda related in the Oscars this year is just tokenistic.
Yeah,
it's a shit film.
Look, once again, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, who do you think will win, and who do you want to win?
I think I want Kerry Condon to win.
Yep.
Jamie Lee Curtis probably will.
Yeah,
win.
I think Jamie Lee Curtis will win,
She's
but
done
I
so much media.
want Hong Chow to win though. Did she win it or did the Sausage Fingers win it?
Look, for me, I'm just going to pretend that she won it for Perfect.
I hope they put that on the screen
That's
when
on the
she walks
screen.
up, or that music
Yeah.
when she walks up to a winner award. Oh, wouldn't that
Like,
be good?
you had to pretend to find John Travolta attractive. Here's the Oscar.
Welcome to Bonehead Weekly Fun Size, and we're talking about the Oscars. You know, Chad, those things that we couldn't care less about.
When we were kids, when we were younger, even in college,
We used to
It
watch
was-
it all the time.
it
Big
was something
deal.
to look forward to. Yeah, it was my Super Bowl because I
Yeah.
wasn't really for those in Australia.
We
that
play the
is,
real football here.
Yeah. But yeah, the Oscars are what I look forward to. And now I just honestly could care less. Most of the time, the movies nominated, I don't even want, I watch and I don't get much out of them.
Yeah.
I will say this year that is not the case.
So what we're
But-
going to do is go over the top or the 10 Best Picture nominees. We're going to give a real quick if we watched it, if we liked it, whatnot. So number 1, Top Gun Maverick. I am just shocked it was nominated, not because I still haven't seen it, and I'm going to watch it. But it is impressive that they got it on the Best Picture list. It was a
Yeah,
huge bid.
I know this goes against what Glenn, but I will watch it eventually. But I did not care for the first one,
Neither
so
did
I was not trying to run out of the gate to see the second one. And I am not that big of a fan of Tom Cruise.
Next is Women Talking. Never saw it with Frances McDormand. Didn't watch it.
Yeah, but anything with Frances McDormand in it is bound to be entertaining. So
Now, the third one is your favorite movie from last year, I think. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
this is what I am most excited about, and I hope it takes everything. This movie is phenomenal. Kwan, Data.
I thought it was
Data.
Daniel Kwan.
No,
It literally has it listed as Daniel Kwan.
no, that's wrong.
It does.
Yeah, that's sad. He was a great child actor. He was one of my favorites as a kid. And to see his performance and everything, Everywhere, All at Once be recognized. And Michelle Yeoh, God, I just want these people to win. I want them to win everything.
The Banshees of Inisherin, we both enjoyed that, but I don't know that it's Best Picture material.
I don't think it's best material either. Anything Martin McDonagh does is great.
Right.
But in terms of when you look at his level of greatness, this is not his best film.
I
And
think it's one of his least, actually.
yes. but it's still great.
Triangle of Sadness. I didn't see it. A lot of people say it's funny, and I will watch it.
Yes.
The next is The Fablemans. That was a movie I really wanted to see, especially at the Kentucky. I didn't get a chance. I will watch it. I promise. I think it's a love letter to cinema that I will love, but I haven't watched it. All Quiet on the Western Front is my pick for Best Picture. It was the biggest gut punch of movies that I saw last year. I got to see it while I was kind of recuperating the 1st of January, technically after it is, and it's just a beautifully made, wonderful story, anti-war. Can't just love it. Next.
I will say I don't want it to win because I'm tired of depressing period pieces winning every single Oscar.
Yeah, this is just such a good movie.
That's why I want Everything Everywhere All at Once to win.
Avatar: The Way of Water.
It's something different.
James, Avatar: The Way of Water.
Don't care.
I don't care. I didn't see it. I will eventually watch it. I'd like to have seen it in the theater, but I could not find the time. And by that, I mean I didn't make the time.
And I don't care about Smurf Snorks.
All right, I got to get up to Elvis.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was overdone.
Yeah.
All right, and Tar, I still haven't seen it, although I'm a fan of the director
and Kate Blanchett.
So this has been Bonehead Weekly Fun Size talking about the Oscars. We'll see you next week.
Possibly, unless Glenn and Ben get rid of us,
or you die of COVID,
which I have. Everybody. Mwah.
Doodles, you just blew it your way to Australia.
Yes, I did.
All right,
I'm taking y'all with me along with the frogs.
Well, raccoon's trying to get on our back porch. Mom just chasing him off with a broom.
All right, Ben, it's time for recommendations. And because, as we all know, I've been moving house lately, I haven't had a chance to watch much at all, if it's not work-related. But a movie I did watch recently, in fact, I did the entire trilogy, was Bad News Bears. So I'm going to have to talk about the first one. I'd forgotten how damn great this movie was. And it's essentially like the blueprint for all of those Coach team movies like The Mighty Ducks or Little Giants and Cool Runnings. And I forgot about that aspect as well. But the difference was, and it was pretty controversial at the time, is all these kids are just potty mouth. Like they're feral kids and their language is deplorable, which I love the 70s nature of this. The things that some of these kids say, obviously you couldn't get away with today, but it's of the time. And not only that, but Walter Matthau's alcoholism and alcohol consumption, there's no apology for it. He just is a drunk and he gives beers to the kids.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about it. And back in those days, it didn't matter.
Funnily enough, I kind of liken it a lot to Bad Santa with the way Billy Bob Thornton is. Funnily enough, more so than Billy Bob Thornton in the remake of the Bad News Bears, which I'm curious. Are you going to go back and rewatch that now that you've seen the three originals?
I want to, but I can't bring myself to because I don't like that one.
Well, see, now at the time I remember watching it. I think I don't think I had seen the original Bad News Bears for like a very long time when I watched the remake. And apart from it just being a very typical of those kind of movies and of those movies of that era, there are a couple of moments.
Oh, it has moments
that I thought were hilarious, but it's the original.
I think for me, I went in knowing that Richard Linklater had made it, and I had expectations, and it just didn't cut the mustard for me. But no, this one's great.
It's much better than School for Scoundrels, the other great film that Billy Bob Thornton remade.
Tatum O'Neal's in it, and she's really good.
She's great,
and she came into this right off the back of her Oscar for
Paper Moon.
A teenage Jackie Earle Haley.
He's
amazing, but he's good all the way through this franchise, right? Yeah. So that's the interesting thing. They made 3 films and a TV series out of this original one, and part 2 was really quite good. It surprised me. I thought it would be a real step down, but they've removed the emotional stuff from it, right? So it's not so much a coming of age story. They've turned it into a frat house kind of story. So it's the Bears are on the road. He's too young to drive, but he's driving a van anyway, and they're just getting up to mischief, right? And then Willem Devaney comes into it. And is that his name, William Devane? Devane comes into it as Haley's father.
Right.
And it's a whole different dynamic. And it's really just a good movie. And then number 3, they go to Japan, and it's just the worst. Like, it's as bad as they say.
Is it as good as Mr. Baseball?
Ooh.
I actually quite like. I kind of like Mr. Baseball.
Yeah, Mr. Baseball's okay.
It's a weird film, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, I do too. I don't know. Anyway, Bad News Bears 3 is not worth the money.
I do have to check it out. I'll have to. It's a shame you packed them all up. Otherwise, I would be asking to borrow the second too.
Well, I can tell you one thing is that I did send you a short clip of one great moment with a pillow fight and a kid on the toilet eating KFC. It was the best. That's the best part of the whole movie.
That kid's living my dream life.
Anyway, so Bad News Bears, everyone. It got released. All three of them did through imprint on Blu-ray. Worth purchasing as a trilogy. Make it a complete set because it's got good commentaries and things like that as well. On to your recommendation, mate.
Well, look, like you, I found myself watching a lot more TV shows than movies recently. But one I did catch up with was a film from 1968 called The Secret War of Harry Frigg.
Right.
I realized it stars Paul Newman, and I was when I found it, I was surprised that there's a Paul Newman movie that I just hadn't heard of.
Yeah.
Not that I hadn't seen. There's plenty of those, but that I just never heard of. And so I popped it on, and I'm like, this is actually. It's got a weird start, but especially for him because he's kind of unlikable at the start.
Sure.
But once it gets into it, it's actually a lot of fun. The basic premise of the film is it's set in World War II, and these four brigadier generals are at this kind of they're all hanging out in a sauna in Italy before it. I don't know if it's in Italy, somewhere in Europe. They're somewhere in Europe. They're not in the UK. They're somewhere in Europe, and it's Tom Bosley from Happy Days is one of the generals. Who are the other ones? Andrew Duggan, John Williams, Charles Gray, and they're all but they're all of the same rank.
Yep.
And they get taken to this countess's villa in Italy and held prisoner. The villa is it's because they're so high ranking. It's like a luxury prison.
Yep.
Due to their rank, but because they're all the same rank, they can't escape because none of them are willing to do one of the other's plans to escape. They keep voting it down, so it becomes a kind of like this laughing stock. So back in the UK, this American general decides what they're going to do is they're going to find someone to purposely get captured who's going to outrank them all so that then they have to escape because suddenly he can do it. Enter Paul Newman, who is he's a private and he's spent his entire time being sent to the brig and escaping to try and get back home because he doesn't want to fight in the war and he's not interested in being told what to do. So he just keeps escaping. So then they go, this guy's great at escapes. We'll just promote him to a general, a rank above brigadier, send him into this place, and he can rescue the guys. What happens when he gets there is he loves being in charge, and he's like, this place is actually pretty good. And then he spots Sylvia Koskina, who is the countess who owns the villa, and he's kind of like, hey, I like her, she likes me. I'm just going to stick around. So he just keeps delaying the escape. And of course, it's kind of like a bit of a screwball comedy. It is great.
Awesome.
Definitely worth checking out.
Don't you love it when, it's a bit frustrating too. You discover something you've never heard of before, but in my mind, I'm thinking, how many people know about this? And where was I all this time?
Yeah.
And I feel really disappointed in myself.
Yeah, and it's such the Secret War of Harry Frigg. Like, it's a name that kind of sticks in your
you
memory
think if you come across it, you'd know it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, there you go. So 2 recommendations, and that pretty much brings us to the end of the show. So episode 2 in the bag, mate. We'll be back at the desk next week, though, in an all-new setup. And hopefully it's set up.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I can't wait.
I can't wait either. And next week also, you and I are going to be chatting to Tom Matthews. So that's the guy from Return of the Living Dead, Friday the 13th, Part 6, and most importantly, a dozen Albert Pune movies. So I can't wait to share that interview with you all. Hey, thanks to Jarrett for his chat earlier with the new release update. Cheers to the Boneheads also, who actually delivered that segment really, really quickly with a turnaround that was like 4 hours. So I was amazed at what they did. So do appreciate you guys. Listen to the Bonehead Weekly podcast. You can catch that on any kind of podcast platform. YouTube if you want to look at their faces. You can also catch me and Chloe on Wednesday night from 10:30. It's the Wednesday Up Late podcast. It is a podcast now. We've rejigged it. You can watch the video on YouTube and Facebook, but we do have a podcast on all the platforms now too. But anyway, Ben, it's been a pleasure.
Always.
So a movie that no one talks about is Nothing But Trouble, and I've got a song from it.
The Julia Roberts No.
The Dan Aykroyd and Demi
Oh,
Moore.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, no one talks about it. I
Chevy
thought
Chase.
What's the one with Julia Roberts and Nick Nolte?
Oh, that's Blue Chips.
I Love Trouble.
Oh, I Love Trouble. Yes, that's right.
Blue Chips.
No, that's different. That's different. I think I Love Trouble.
Julia Roberts is in Blue Chips?
I Love Trouble's the one that he ate raw onions before he kissed
Yeah,
her.
because he hated her so much. They hated each other.
He is everything that's trouble, but nothing but trouble. This is a song called Same Song by Digital Underground. So we'll see you next week when we have Tom Matthews on the show.
Been all around the world. Been all around the world. Been all around the world. Same song. Been all around the world. Same song. Yo, we've been all around the world. Been all around the world. Same song.
I came for the party to get naughty, get my rocks on, eat popcorn, watch you move your body to the pop song that I'm singing, ding-a-linging, funky beats ringing, everybody swinging in the place as I kick the J-A-Z-Z-Y style, R&B mixing it with the hip-hop swing beat, champagne in my hand, it won't be long till I'm gone. It's just the same old song.
It's just the freestyle. Meanwhile, we keep the beat kicking. Sweat dripping. Girlies in the limo eating chicken. Oops, don't get the grease on your pantyhose. I love you, Robo. Move over. I gotta blow my nose. Sneezing, but still I'm pleasing. All the slimmies, pull out my Jimmy. Time to get busy with a Jenny. If it's good and plenty, don't you know? There I go, there I go, there I go. But I don't go nowhere without my gym hat. What I'm rapping is if she's clapping, then I'm strapping, cause I'm smarter than that. And then, girlie, maybe we can get along. Cutie after cutie. It's just the same old song. It's the same old song, y'all.
Same song.
It's just the same old song.
It's the same song. Money big, the freaky deaky, the squeaky wicky up and down. Well, as a matter of fact, I'll be right back. I gotta take a leak. So I'm draining, entertaining, but I got fame and the bases I touch. Too much for me to try to be naming. Hey yo, you saw me on cable and grin. I busted in and I was going to win. Like Clark Gable back in Oakland, it's the same old song for Sporty Shorty, same freckles and hat, drinking the same Ford.
Hypothetical, political, lyrical, miracle whip, just like butter. My rhymes are legit, cause I'm the Humpty, not Humpty Dumpty, but Humpty Hump. Here a hump, there a hump, everywhere I'm Humpty Hump.
Shut up and just listen, not dissing, don't get me wrong. But to me, it's just the same old song. So just watch, cause my name is Shock. I like to rock and you can't stop this. Tupac, go ahead and rock this.
Now I clown around when I hang around with the underground. Girls used to frown, say I'm down when I come around. Gas me, and when they pass me, they used to diss me, harass me. But now they ask me if they can kiss me. Get some fame, people change, wanna live their life high. Same song can't go wrong if I play the nice guy.
Claiming fame must have changed now that we became strong.
I remain still the
Why
same,
too?
cause it's the same song.
It's the same song.
Same old song, y'all.
Same song.
Shout out, check out, shout out, stop. It's just the same old song. Yeah, Humpty Hump in the house, y'all. And you know what? It's the same old song. All around the world, same song.
That's all I have to say about that.